Well, hello there, YouTube. I hope today finds you well. It's hard to believe that it's the 1st of May already. I don't know where this year's going, but then again, we say that every year, don't we? Thought we'd start the week out today talking about plant-based diet answers for health problems. You know, I have people that send me emails, but a lot of stuff I take through Instagram, just people sending me messages, asking me questions, or just giving me statements and telling me things. And it's just, I have people all the time, various things. There's this diabetes, it's this, it's that, it's their skin, a lot of digestive issues, diabetes, insulin resistance. And the thing I've noticed about a lot of people, especially when they're dealing with these, is they have preconceived notions coming in, and they just have things that, even though they're looking for answers, it seems like they're looking for answers, but they already have, the answer themselves. So I'm not quite sure what they're looking for. And I'm not a pushy person. I am not a pushy person with this lifestyle. Not in real life, not online. I've had numerous friends throughout the years that have had health issues, and I'm not that one that goes, hey, well, I've got a solution for you. I have let people know casually, I've let people know, hey, happy to help you. If I can give you any answers or if I can point you in any directions, happy to help you. I've tiptoed lightly and said, hey, I know you're dealing with this. There's ways you can maybe get some relief from it. I don't try to come in with big things like, oh, you're going to be healed and it's all going to go away. And I have people tell me all the time that tell me things that I know within my mind. I'm like, okay, but I don't say anything. I'll have people say, well, I have this condition and I can't eat this, or I can't eat plant-based, or I can't eat this thing in plant-based. And I'm like, okay, fine. Got a really good friend, real good friend. And I did tell him one time early on, he suffers from ulcerative colitis, and he's really been through it. I told him, I said, hey, you can probably, I could point you in a few directions, recommend a few books that could probably get you some stuff. And he knew I was doing plant-based, and he immediately was going on what doctors had told him and his conception of, oh no, well, I can't eat this, this, and this. Well, when it comes to, okay, well, we'll start there. When it comes to the gastrointestinal issues, I've learned from listening to Dr. Bulsiewicz, and there's also another doctor I like to listen to a lot too. It's not all Dr. B, it's Dr. Robynne Chutkan. She's Gut Bliss, I think. I think it's Gut Bliss on Instagram, and she's a gastroenterologist, and I learn a lot of stuff. And one of the things that that she and Dr. B both say all the time is start low and go slow. So people that have irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, and they're like, well, I can't eat this, I can't eat this. Well, you can't eat it because people decide, okay, well, this causes me distress, and their answer, cut that food out of my diet. And a lot of times these are foods that we need, and a lot of times these are foods you don't necessarily need to cut out of your diet. That's why you start low and go slow. So, and like I say, I'm not getting into particulars with digestive issues, but, they will help you. There's people that can help you, and you will introduce things. Sometimes when you're dealing with stuff like Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, irritable bowel syndrome, it's not something that and you may have to go through a little discomfort to get there. It's a process. I've heard Dr. Bulsiewicz talking to people he's worked with. And yeah, it's not like you're going to start eating something and in 3 days, the clouds are going to open and you're going to feel better. But these things can be a process, and if you really commit and you really trust somebody like going on with the solution like the fiber fueled, you can get there. Now, once again, I'm not one of those that says you're going to be healed. I don't even like words like healing and the detoxes because that just sounds a little whatever. I'm more into the practical, the scientific, and that's why I like to listen to a lot of these plant-based doctors. But once again, those things are out there. I've got friends that have high blood pressure. All these misconceptions, all these things they've been told for years, genetics. Really good friend of mine has high blood pressure, been taking blood pressure medication for years. And I told him when I first found out about that, I said, well, listen, I hear that there's all the time. Now, that's actually not that complicated a super complicated one. I hear stories all the time about people changing their diet off the blood medication, pressure medication very quickly. Some, even if you don't, there's a lot of improvement in that. And once again, I've mentioned this before in the past, you don't ever want to just start eating something and go against your, like drop your medication or whatever. But you do probably want to tell your doctor, if you're high blood pressure and you start eating a really whole food plant-based diet, eliminate that salt, oil, and sugar, you're going to probably want to tell your doctor to keep an eye on you, because he's going to have to adjust that medication. But like my friend, he told me, he's like, oh no, my mother had hypertension. Hypertension runs in our family. My sister takes medicine. So he's all bought into that genetics, and it's just a matter of what it is, and I'm just going to take that pill to the day that I die. And coincidentally, that's a friend of mine that just eats about as badly as possible. They're just scarfing down saturated fat and sodium, which are two of the things that you don't need for that. You know, diabetes is a fairly common one. And once again, when I say these things, I'm not saying it casually like, oh, you've got diabetes, come on in, it's going to go away. No, all these things take time. You have to adjust to eating like this. And you really have to dial into knowing exactly how to eat for your condition. I know I mentioned over and over and over the exam room, the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, that podcast I listen to, but you can search that podcast, and that's why I'm always doing it, because you can search it. You can even search the podcast in any number of ways. You could go to wherever you listen to your podcast, and just go in, type in the search bar, the exam room, high blood pressure, the exam room, diabetes, the exam room, gastrointestinal issues, and you'll have you'll have everything that they've done, every episode they've done on the subject, and not just one person. They'll have multiple people. Or if you wanted to see all the talks by a particular person, you could go in and search the exam room, say Dr. Bulsiewicz or Dr. Neal Barnard, and then all those talks there. Like I'm telling you, you can educate yourself through that site, and you can read the book. Like one thing I like is all these people just finished Fiber Fuel, books like that, books of Dr. Barnard's. There's always references in there. There's always sources in there. They're usually referencing studies where people have done this. So it's not just like, it's not all anecdotal, like you hear just a lot of, it's not just people saying, okay, here's my story, just believe me. And there's a lot of fine doctors on there to listen to. I've just got a list of some of the names other than the ones I've mentioned all the time, in addition to Dr. Barnard and Dr. Will Bulsiewicz. You've got, like I say, you've got Dr. Robynne Chutkan. Another real good one is Dr. Jim Loomis. He's on the show quite often. And also, too, you can take these names, go look them up on YouTube. But look for sources like this. These are people that are helping people every day. For God's sake, like I say, I only learned about this in the last year. Dr. Barnard, I always say his name wrong, has a medical center. I mean, he's nationwide. They even do, tele visits. You have Dr. Loomis, Cyrus Khambatta. He's a PhD, and he's expert on diabetes and reversing diabetes. Also stuff by Dr. Esselstyn, reversing and preventing heart disease. That's the name. I couldn't think of the proper name of the book, but you've got to get out of your head on these things. And especially if you're asking, the silliest thing in the world is to ask somebody their opinion, their thoughts, or ask them for help when you know you're not going to accept their answer. If you're asking somebody, you can't be caught up in your own preconceptions. So all these things, and I'm just going to finish it off with that. The whole point of this today is, like I say, I like to curate content. I like to let you know there's solutions out there. I like to point you in the best directions possible. But you really have to listen, and you have to put it into practice as well, and you have to get out of all these common misconceptions that you have stuck in your head just because you've been told for ages, I can't eat this. I'm going to always have to take this pill. I'm going to always deal with this condition. All these always and nevers and things that just don't have to be true every day. And that's where the anecdotal stories do come in. When you hear them over and over and over, where other people have lost 100, 200 pounds, where people have gotten off their blood pressure medicine, gotten off their diabetes medicine. If they don't get off their medications, a lot of times they're taking a lower dosage, which anytime you're taking a lower dosage of any type of medication, that's better for your body overall. So the solutions are out there. Get out of your head and, you can find them. So anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this one today. Hope you find it useful. Hope you will go check some of those people out. I tell you what I'm going to do, just so so you don't have to go back through that. I'll list all of these names down in the description below. So y'all have a beautiful day. Take care of yourself and peace.